All right, everyone, another week, another Biden senior sundown moment, a Ron Burgundy moment in this case, as he continues to read what's on the teleprompter, even though the part that he was reading wasn't part of what he was supposed to say. End of quote. Repeat the line, says Joe Biden at the end of a long, rambling speech, as usual, and he went off the rails several times before that as well. Clip, link in the description. This is from Disclosed TV. You can watch it for yourself. The White House and Biden apologists are pretending that at the end of this he says, let me repeat that line instead of repeat the line. I've got a question for you. It's a little bit of a logical question. If he's already reading the part of the teleprompter he's not supposed to read, which is end of quote. Okay, so you prove that. He's already read something on the teleprompter that is not part of the speech. Which one is more likely? He proceeded to utter 3 more words that were on the teleprompter, or he realized his mistake, despite giving no visual clues as to having done so, and was not reading the teleprompter and simply said something that is roughly equivalent to what happened to be on it in the very next line. End of quote, let me repeat the line. Oh, all of a sudden he snapped right back into it. I think that's a real stretch. He's done this before. The fact is that Joe Biden has to have everything handed to him in note form anyway to make a speech, and sometimes that means that he reads the part that you're not supposed to read. This sort of gaffe has happened to others. I believe it happened to Trump actually on one occasion. I believe it didn't happen to Obama. He's more off the cuff anyway. He did use a teleprompter most of the time, but better at improvisation. I can't remember if George W. ever did this. Probably. He had his own verbal problems, let's face it. If, therefore, Biden had done this once or twice, nobody would really care. Nobody would look askance to it. It's like, okay, he accidentally read the line on the teleprompter, and then he said, oops, and then he corrected himself. Nobody would care, even though he is elderly, even though he clearly has dementia. Even under those circumstances, if it's just like a one-off, who cares? He's done this a half a dozen fucking times since he's been selected for the position that he's in the Asterisk administration. This is not the first time that he's done this. It's literally a half a dozen times. Maybe more. Could be a dozen. He's also had 3 or 4 different near falls in the last year, in addition to breaking his foot chasing the dog in the shower, and he's doing weird shit. I don't think that this man regularly is even capable of controlling his own bowel movements. He is quite clearly in cognitive decline. The people are beginning to realize that, and there was a reason why the White House came out almost instantaneously to run damage control for him. Major speech, major gaffe, and so they cover his ass. The legacy media is barely reporting on this, other than Fox, which is controlled opposition anyway. Try and find any mention of this on any other mainline, like cable or newsprint network. There are none. They're not talking about it. One hand washes the other. The rich allies of the Biden administration, who want to make a lot of money off of his globalistic neoliberalism, are refusing to report on this, so the average person in the population doesn't even know it happened unless they're part of the hip internet culture with all of its memes and all of the Joe Biden gaffes. I seem to recall back under the Bush administration, there was a constant slew of what was called Bushisms that were released. Legacy media chuckled about them. Newsprint chuckled about them. Everyone was chuckling about them. Early wave of YouTube and similar sites. There were a lot of compilations of Bushisms. Why is it that Bidenisms has not become a thing quite so much? Could it be that they simply refuse to talk about it? To admit to the public, yeah, you do realize that the chief executive of the United States is not mentally well. He's pushing 80. He's having these senior moments on a regular basis. He can't do anything without a note card in front of him. Like it was only about a week ago. You'll remember he had that note card, and it had like very simplistic instructions, like the sort of instructions you'd give to a kindergarten theater play class or something. You sit down in chair. You shake Mr. So-and-so's hand. You take a couple of questions from names of reporters. Now you stand up. Now you turn around. Okay, you have to turn around first before you exit the room. Then you begin exiting the room. Please open the door and then walk through it. Don't walk into the door. It was beyond the pale. If this had been something that happened under any prior administration, it would be laughed about constantly. It would also be ridiculed on late-night comedy shows. I'm not seeing much of this now, but this is a senior moment. He's had them before. Even before he was selected for his ignominious office, Joe Biden was already having cognitive issues. It is getting demonstrably worse over time. The number of gaffes, if you can call them that, of stuttering moments, of falls or near falls, of losing track of where he is, possibly who he is, or what year it is, up on a live stage, has gone from a spattering, like every other month or something he has a problem as candidate. And then it was like every month in the first year. Now it's every week. This is not a good sign. To be clear, if you know anything about the progression of Alzheimer's disease, you will see the fact that he clearly has it. That's not a joke. It's not a meme. It's not hyperbolic. It's not a conspiracy theory. Joe Biden has Alzheimer's disease. It is getting worse over time. You can't explain this by just saying, well, he's on the older side. Occasionally he forgets a line. Occasionally he says the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, so do I, occasionally. Much less often than Joe Biden, considering that I've been doing this for about 12 years now. But when it's every week, or every other week at best, to be generous, for the course of a period of time, and it's clearly getting more frequent, and it's getting more severe, at what point do you say, hey Joe, it's time for the assisted living home? It's a senior moment. Again, when I get to that age, if I live that long, I'll probably have forgetful moments and fill my adult undergarments too. I wouldn't want to be president of the United States while I happen to be doing these things. It's about time that Joe Biden just face the music, realize, okay, I've had a good run. My Senate career was basically horse shit and I never accomplished anything. I was the court jester VP, but now I've got my asterisk presidency in the history books. I'll be like one of those Roman emperors that no history student ever even bothers to study. I've got mine, and it's time to call it quits. It's time to step down. I do not think, in the wake of all of these different gaffes and mistakes, the odds of him running in 2024, unless he is goddamn completely batshit, are approaching zero at this point, in my opinion. There's a reason why the sharks are circling. Hillary Clinton did not effectively rule out another run. Gavin Newsom is broadcasting ads in an entirely different state, despite being a state governor. Kamala Harris, behind the scenes, is very, very carefully, and Buttigieg too, not appearing in public any more than she has to. All of the sharks are circling. I think that they understand that the order of magnitude of Biden's likelihood to run in 2024 is decreasing fairly steadily. I do not believe that he will be the Dem candidate, although it would be hilarious, number one. It'd be very useful to the Republicans, whoever their candidate is, whether Trump runs or not, would steamroll him at this point, number two. And I hope that that actually happens. I hope that Joe Biden is crazy enough, demented enough, to actually insist upon running. He may get primaried by his own party despite the incumbency, which would be the most legendary, hilarious thing ever, watching him try to fend off people literally half his age for a position that he clearly has completely screwed. That's about all. Peace out.